is called Black and White Giants. 50 years ago, Ling Ling and Sing Sing arrived in Washington. After Nixon ended the Cold War with China, panda diplomacy was born. An era warmed by sending bamboo-munching ambassadors had just begun. But pandemic's wrath brought blame and shame, incriminating the wet markets in Wuhan, targeting bats and endangered pangolin, who weren't even there and in fact have never been. Pandemonium thus ensued last week at the Smithsonian, where little miracle, a baby giant, had been born. He and his furry parents, Mei Jing and Tan Tan, were loaded hastily into their gilded cages and recalled home. As neither pandering nor incessant pleading could melt the stalwart guardian's stance, the U.S. feted the beloved family with a farewell week of Pandapalooza, ending a half-year century long, warm, diplomatic dance. Thank you. Okay, that was our pandas. Now to something that's been going on for months, our banksters. And this poem is written in a pantoon style, which means it's 4 stanzas, and the first line of each is dropped off with each progressive stanza, and the first line of the entire poem is the last. Central bank self-interest rates steal our wealth and cause high mortgages and higher rent. Inflation fighting allows banks to dupe us all by stealth with higher housing costs, more money spent. Higher interest rates bring higher mortgages and higher rent, but strangely, interest rates on savings always lag. Higher housing costs mean more money spent, increasing inflation instead of causing it to sag. Interest rates on our savings always lag because bank wealth is based on usury. Bank rates cause inflation that was supposed to sag and claim our cash through this absurdity. Because bank wealth is based on usury, fighting inflation lets banks dupe us of our wealth by stealth. Banks claim our cash through this absurdity. Central banks, self-interest rates always steal our wealth. Thank you.
I'm going to start with a poem I wrote just a few weeks ago called November Chinook. Chinook wind is howling. Winter briefly came, then went. It was just its first appearance of the season. After all, November has just begun. Clock changed just this morning. Technically, we're still in fall. Our seasons come and go, come and go, come and go, but not just 4 times a year. Isn't life a lot like that? Times are good, and then they're not. Things go well, and then they don't. We have friends, and then they're gone. It can be hard to hold in mind that times and seasons do go round and round, circling over each other in endless spiraling. No good time can ever last, but neither can the bad. Trust that this is never all there is. Thank you. And November is the month where we celebrate Remembrance Day or mark Remembrance Day. And I wrote this poem last year. It was prompted by something I read in a Welsh novel by an author called Kate Roberts, called Feet in Chains. The poem is called Would It Have Been So Difficult? More than a century has passed, and many generations since the world waged a war once hoped to be the war to end all wars. Immeasurable, uncountable losses, their effects still carried in the genes of those descended from survivors, the ones who stayed at home and those who came back forever changed, disfigured, missing limbs, blind, gassed, filled with shrapnel, shell-shocked, but survivors who, in hope for a better world, bred new generations. The Welsh were as much a part of fighting this war as any nation, bleeding sons, grandsons, husbands, brothers, fathers, uncles, and cousins, all in a steady flow, all to serve under ultimate English command. Soon the dreaded black-rimmed telegrams began to arrive, also in a steady flow. But they were all an Saesneg, in English, a language foreign and unknown to so many Welsh families waiting for news. How many bereft, fearful women and men had to seek a village vicar or a schoolmaster to translate for them the words their hearts dreaded to hear? There are so many injustices in war. Would it have been so difficult to convey the harrowing news in the tongue of those who had given their all, their very lives, for a cause so much greater than conventions or nationalities? Would that really have been too much to ask? Thank you.
Good evening, Dragons. I'm Jan, and this is my partner, Barry. We are the Urban Dairy. Tonight, we bring to you Raspberry Ripple and our new Rocky Rodent ice cream. If you'll join us in reaching our dream, we've got a whole lot of very large rats, and we need a whole lot of very tiny milking machines. It took a while for you to get the bad puns. Okay. This is silly. I should be way more organized than this. This one, actually, I think I've jumped on one. Oh, hell, we'll go with... Normally, as most of you know, I'm not all that organized, but I'm much more organized than this. Though that... Okay. More bad puns. The cat went out for a stroll last night, looking for trouble, if trouble should happen to find her. Ran across a pack of dogs looking for a fight. The dog said, "Boys, here's a cat, eat her." The lead dog, the boss of them all, growled and said, "I need exercise, something chronic. I'm going to cough up this fur ball." The cat said, "Don't mess with me, I'm no catatonic." The big dog said that there be no question, that cat's butt belongs to me. Those who disagreed were too few to mention. It was a true cat's astrophy. See, you're finally catching on. The big dog said, "I've hated cats ever since I was a pup. Out here in this tomato patch, it's time to play catch up." The cat just yawned and licked her paws. "I don't fear any dog. I've been up all night sharpening my claws on my mail order catalog. I've heard your bark is worse than your bite. Fido, let me give you a little tip. You're acting tough, but that dog won't fight. Come on, try a little catnip." Teeth like razors, claws like knives, the temptation is just too much to resist. Just so much to do in 9 short lives. You're on my little catalyst. They circled round and they growled for a bit and snarled and made faces and they got stuck in. By the time it was ended, you couldn't tell which bit was which. It was a definite cataclysm. Okay. It reads well.
So we're going to start out with a poem about Jeff. This one was inspired by the lovely poet Henry that's sitting over there. So this one's called Jeff. To the poet who inspired me, did I ever tell you that you brought me out of the dark times? When I thought the day was gray, you brought sunshine to everybody's hearts. To the poet who inspired me, I bet the sunrises look better with you in it. Can you tell my grandma I say hi? To the poet that inspired me, what's heaven like? Are you still making people laugh? To Jeff, you're the sunshine in everybody's hearts. We miss your radiant smile and warm energy. To the poet that once inspired me, thank you for showing your story and being a part of this poetry journey. Thank you. The next one's called Sunrises/Sunsets. It's a theory about death that I have. I have this theory about death. People never really leave your life once they pass. They come back as things. Some, it may be trees or sunsets, maybe even sunrises. I believe when people pass, the sky becomes brighter, filled with all the angels and love. When you look up at the sky next, make sure you tell your loved ones that you love them.
I've done sketchy stuff at work, but you guys are terrifying. So I'm going to start with my first poem here. I call it Child of Pan. Thank you. O thou goddess of the realm divine, where angelic voices ring and chime, and deign to grace this world of man, thy form sublime, O child of Pan. How comest thou to this wayward shore, wondrous beauty as in the tales of yore? With blue-gray eyes as the storm-swept skies, and flowing locks as the rapt sunrise. Thine imperial visage may encapture these stalwart men held in rapture, like a blinding flash of blue-white light, held transfixed during a tempest night. O goddess, may thou stand unrivaled as the hearts of men come unbridled, for thy ethereal song holds enthralled the sons of Adam as if seraph called. Mighty may be the lords of heaven and hell, yet at thy single word may hosts impel to raise those gates to smoldering ground, where for thy consideration which may be found. And on that day, if they were to fall away to death's dark shores where the devils play, with heads held high to boast of thy sight, having seen heaven, yet touch not its light. Thank you. Next poem I have, I call it Corner of Dreams. With eyes now closed, he sees her there, this corner of dreams, petite and fair. Beautiful, refined, her graceful air, yet eyes of sorrow with too much care. A slight sad smile rests on rose-red lips, and scarlet cap caressed by fingertips, while her dress flowed with gentle ease, and outlined form in the summer breeze. A sight to be seen in vibrant green, as the trees rise tall with birds serene, their gossamer song of wind in leaves, these reverent notes from heaven's eaves. With peace around, her gaze abound, her hand extended to a wonder found. Then eyes meet and his heart bemoaned, now awoken, reaching, and still alone.
Okay, his first poem is about my father, severe PTSD, and a horrible alcoholic. It's called Battle Scarred. Battle scars that you can't drink away. You fought for your life in battle, you fought the rest of your life. The war invades your nights. Will these nightmares never end? You're helpless in your memories. It's the killings you did and seen that haunt your nights. Battle scarred for life. An inmate of your own asylum. No way out but only death. My fear of death is past. My love of life has not. My time is unknown. Next one is about an eagle. I'm the eagle that soars the skies of blue and the starry nights. In the distance, the Rockies disappear into the shadows as the sun falls off the world. High atop my perch, a dead skeleton tree, I wait for the moonlight's glow to light the eyes of my prey. Ah, yes, I rocket towards him in silence, my talons spread wide. They sink into him, he's mine. To the perch I take him. In the distance, the owl gives a hoot. He's lost his meal.
Well, as some of you know, before COVID, I had several years where I had story circles in my home. They would be often once a month for the whole year, or sometimes once a week for 6 weeks or something. And the women who would come to my story circles were all, shall I say, strong feminists, like really strong women. And, you know, here I am, I'm supposed to be facilitating this group and kind of being a leader, sort of. And finally one day I was just so frustrated because everything was not only just out of control, but like really out of control. We were having a great time, and I just said, oh, geez, people, I mean, it's like I'm herding cats in here. Anyway, that's how I got the term cat herder. By the way, if you've ever seen a commercial, it was for something like an insurance company or something, but it was like, you know, when they bring the cattle in and have a roundup, well, it was bringing the cats in with all these cowboys or catboys, I guess. And it is absolutely hilarious, and look it up on YouTube for sure. I have 2 poems tonight that reflect the time of year. First one is called Wise Woman of the Portal. Dear one, acquiesce with what you deeply want and already know, that it's in silence that you meet, that you become, that you create not only yourself, but the deepest connections among all that is. Life is the invitation to the portal where we transform our coal into diamonds, where we recognize the truth of all symbols to throw us back together into ourselves and our wisdom. This too, I know. I am water, I am deer. Frog leaps in me and I leap in salmon. Grandmother spider weaves red threads of connection. The web vibrates, and I see as owl. I dance, I am connection. I circle round, I circle back. Lightning brings heaven to earth. Earth rises to meet the divine. This crossing, this meeting is the crux of the matter, our matter, where human meets divine meets all that is. We tell our stories of this. 1,000 stories. Stories of matter that matter. They end as they begin, in silence. Come into the portal of silence, of wisdom, of this too is me, where we shall create, and it will be good. It already is. This is a bit shorter of a poem. It's called Solstice 2021. Gray days, black nights, solstice promise of light not yet visible. I'm so tired. I need to hibernate for just a while, surrender to the silence. So many so cold, so many so far away from the season's cheer, yet we keep on keeping on, looking for the star, waiting for the sun. Getting quiet, getting real, cup of coffee, comfy chair, candle lit, dear friend here. Tonight I appreciate all the little wonders that come into my days, and I rest in the dark, renewing my energy to rise and move and stretch into the new hope of the new year. Thank you.
All right, everybody. She never read in public before. Give her some love.
My first poem is What's Beyond My Cover. Don't judge a book by its cover. On the surface, I may look put together, but I'm so stressed my eyelashes are turning white. Maybe that has to do with the constant fight or flight, the constant feeling of my chest getting tight. This feeling makes me wonder, why must I climb such heights? Why try get to class if my mind and body was a car? I'm sure to be running low on gas. I'm tired of people saying, this too shall pass. Because if I've learned anything, it's that mental illness cannot be cured. So all this pain I must endure. I wish this never happened to me. Believe it or not, I was once so pure. My brain is a curse. I turn my thoughts volume down by singing to my favorite song verse. But the music stopped working after I saw my family and friends in the back of a hearse. My soul burst. The people I planned to spend my life with were gone. And so was my sober mom. So now the thoughts make even the happiest of songs seem like a depressing bomb. But no matter no matter what, I must stay calm. Even if the memories keep turning off and on, my brain's chemicals have been off since dawn. So even though the view on myself is scattered, I must act like I know I matter. Like my brain doesn't hold me back by gripping on to my past pain. Doctors say my life was full of rain, no sunny days. And so apparently that should mean I'm stronger. But all my trauma did was leave me in the gutter. My trauma wasn't a lesson any child should be forced to learn. Because instead of lessons taught at school that bring you to college, the lessons I've learned brought me to addictions, panic attacks. It has left my brain not used to normal habitats. So next time, look a little deeper. Behind my kind disposition is someone who only wants to feel safe. Because beyond my brilliant cover are my own three-headed dragons I have to slay in order to have an okay kind of day. What I would give to have life not be this way. Don't judge a book by its cover. There's more beyond what's portrayed on the surface. Mommy dearest, am I really that bad, that unbearable? What exactly is wrong with me, Mom? You yell and scream at me, but yet I must stay calm. You've got my soul in your palm, squishing and squeezing every last drop of hope out of me. You take my pain and twist it around to make me look insane. Your cruel words engraved in my skin, bad daughter, should have given you up. Now, I know I'm not that perfect, but I wouldn't say I'm that unlikable, that annoying. When I had my first love, my mom called me a whore, and now my mind is quite sure that it's true. And everything's my fault, too. So when my mom tries to cry, I look her in the eye and I say, boo-hoo. Because I'm tired of being a slave. I saw her dead body. I saved her from ending in a grave. And this is the thanks I get. Her words in the back of my head. Effing retard, lazy. And that's what I am, right, Mary? I'm living in your world. The character I am in Mary's story is the bad kid, the spawn of her poisoned womb. I hold a mirror up to her face and I remind her, I hold a mirror up to her face and she doesn't like that. She doesn't like me. But instead of dwelling and believing in her actions, I must remind my inner child that it's not true. That burning in my chest is only mild, and that her words are nothing but dull swords she's trying to pierce my chest with, just because I'm nowhere near the best. But but that's not my fault. It's not my fault she's like this. She likes to say, I like having a bad mom. That's the reason she stays like this. But if only she knew how jealous I am of other kids. They get to say, I hate my mom, I hate my dad, and go back to a warm home, dinner already cooked. But what I say is, I love them. But they don't love me. When I get home, I'm the one to make supper, take care of my mother and brother. I smile and I laugh, but that's only a cover. I didn't deserve this. I fiend to be enough. I crave those words. I'm proud of you, Lorelei. You're a good sister and daughter. They are lucky to have you. But I'm sure I'll never hear those words from the one I need the most. But after all that, I must stay calm. I'll take the blame so Mommy Dears can have a clean conscience. But that doesn't mean 10-year-old me deserved to end up like this. If I had to choose, she would have learned ballet and piano, and Grandma wouldn't have to raise her grandchild. But no matter how many dreams I pile, it will never change my life file. So I'll just sit there and put a mask on and smile.
Just before I get started, let's just have another round of applause for Bailie. That was so good, so good. Please come back. All right, so I got 3 poems for y'all. I didn't get here last month, but this first one is for most people in the audience know that writing means contending with self-doubt on a daily, hourly basis. And this poem is just about those 2 trickster voices, one that says, you are the greatest and you are the worst. And this one's called Twin Voices. Hope is a tiny black beetle crossing the sidewalk. Doubt is a pair of grubby yellow vans. It's easy to miss her, easy to overstep, or even easier to crush by accident. Voice 1. You are a talentless hack, and your faux sincerity mixed with your attempts at intellectualism are an embarrassment, especially at your age. And you'd honestly be doing yourself, your family, and pretty much all Native people a favor by putting down the pen and quitting. Please, in exchange for something more productive, something helpful to the community, before you draw any more shame and negative spotlight on an already suffering and much maligned people. Voice 2. Jesus, kid, why has no one read your work? Are you afraid? Trust me when I say this. There are a lot of dudes throwing their voice and written words around, hoping they all have something their nations and the world beyond considers worth listening to. But when I read your stuff, I'm like, whoa, this kid is going to write something big. And even if you're not a kid, even if you're a 48-year-old substitute English teacher, you're still a kid whose words are going to take him places. Sing your family, live your solitude, write your weirdness. We look forward to reading your next submission. This one is dedicated to my mom. She had a birthday yesterday, and this is for her. It's called Na'a, which is Blackfoot for mom. In the future, I will meet a foster child who knew my mom. He comes back home without family or friends. He hit a rough patch, but he's in a trades program these days. We will meet by chance. My foster parents always brought me to the powwows and cultural stuff your mom put together for those kids, he says. But I stopped going in my teens. Fell in with the wrong crowd, you know? I tell him I do know. What's she been up to these days? Still working at Children's Services? No, I say. Actually, I'm sorry, is she? No, I laugh. She's good. Just doesn't work at the office anymore. She takes care of her cats and focuses on her art full time. He will ask me to say "Ukki," hello, for him, and I promise I will. I will dream about the young man a few days, a few weeks later. He's still alone and sometimes unhappy. But he met someone, a beautiful young mother of 2 daughters, sober since she left her baby daddy. Life, he says, is good, getting better every day, you know? He won't have time to chat. He's taking the girls school shopping. Then, after each time we meet in a dream, I tell my Na'a, one of her kids says, "Ukki."
All right, so I wrote these 2 poems recently. I was thinking on it. When I was very little, I remember there was a VHS, old, grainy, I used to watch endlessly about the ocean. And the deep ocean terrified me. So much so that when I saw images of whales beaching on the shore, I thought, oh, that makes so much sense, getting the heck out of there. And then I realized, even at that young age, quite how lonely that must be and how impossible it would be to get back from there. So these 2 poems are Thalassophobia 1 and 2. Are you the type of person who, if living by the sea, would go down to the morning shore if you heard there was a beached whale, to see the immense creature as it lies there on the gleaming sand, and draw yourself up to its bulk and feel the swelling, rising flesh expand, eyes closing as it slowly comprehends its essential predicament, its place, that it can no more return itself to sea than can the many little human apes gathering around it, admiring it, loving it, and, if we admit it, pitying it. Can this behemoth better bear the unending weight of the world around, or the piteous touch of one who presses their cheek to feel the beating heart of a titan of the deep? And, perhaps if we admit it, grant it a little of the love that we never reserved for ourselves. Are you this type of person, or do you leave this hypothetical whale to the realm of hypotheticals and content yourself living far from the sea? Thalassophobia 2. 1,000 beached during the night, great bodies thrust from out the sea to seek the lament and melancholy of their lost friend upon the shore. And in the day's first sizzling of the mists that cling to moon, 1,000 whales were singing their request that death come soon. And will you go down to them, those beasts upon the sand, and add your voice to their deep words, to tell them another friend is here, splashing them down with salted water, soothing them with gentle promises that we shall acknowledge, that we shall whisper each other are not more than gentle lies? Will this, we wonder, be enough, crying with the trapped and dying, when we will walk away after, and while cursing a lack of courage, wish but once to die with them, to be reborn a happier creature. Will you go down to them, or ignore that rumbling hymn upon the wind, that it's only 1,000 leaves? And what loss is that to one living so far from the sea?
Hi, everyone. So this first one, I wrote it April 3rd, 2022. I've read it before. It's been a long time, but it's kind of come up in my mind because this Friday we have a special celebration for a friend's birthday who passed away on April 3rd, 2021, and we're celebrating his birthday and having a big party for him and singing songs. And I also have another friend that I grew up with that was a really, really close friend that passed away many years before, and that's also his birthday. So I wrote this on the 1-year anniversary of my dear friend that passed for him, and he had struggled with addiction, and I had lost in 2022 on March 29th. I found out another guy that I grew up with that was my brother's best friend and like family to me had passed away as well. So this is a poem about addiction and struggles with that. Just another avoidable, earth-shaking death that was caused by addiction. Human beings and their devices, dependencies, and relentless vices that melt down our organs and cause the premature demise of something so exquisite and precious. Life on this planet, your presence here, this gift in the blink in which it sweeps by, our moment, walking its vast surface, our existence, something with immeasurable value that many minds can't collectively grasp and clearly view. Life of all sorts and sizes must be revered and cherished. Homo sapiens will evolve along the parallel line to the relevance and importance we place on all human life, the creatures around us and the planet we inhabit. How can this be such a slow process? It's perplexing. How can we ever hope to evolve when so many of the species are intertwined and entangled in toxic substances, self-sabotaging behaviors, blinding greed and hatred? Where is hope? Support systems are broken. So many are fractured. Investing in these causes will only raise society as a whole. The path to longevity, fewer perils, serenity, still. How hard is it for humanity to work for the common good? How is their pain only caused by the poisons which cause only greater agony and loss? Those sparkling gems of people and connections that truly deserve their old age time here. It's so unfair that we so quickly slip onto pills and into liquids to comfort our troubles and numb what tortures and ills. In the end, that is what can so often take that life and make that final striking blow. Without reform, it's just a waiting game for the darkness to claim victory over their bright, beautiful light. We've all lost enough to this black, all-consuming beast. What will it take for a change to ignite and some sort of order in this chaos to be seized? Thank you. That was the 1-year anniversary was a really hard day for me, and that poem brought me a lot of comfort. This is one I wrote a long time ago, and it's another, I'm on the darker swing tonight. It was about a poem I wrote on my travels a long time ago. The dark cunningness tints the light glide in my stride, grinds at my, one more time, I'm going to start that again, here we go. The dark cunningness tints the light glide in my stride, grinds at my optimism, bids my fresh outlook good brine. The salt in your sour ways not taken to heart, for I know what you are, and your verbal carnage 'tis anything but art. Sing about your dog and your broken heart, your car that won't start, your hard knock life in the spotlight, while kicking others on the side. You're too simple to be sly. Those unknowing saps that love your tassels to a fault. I dare you, drugged up, stuck up, deceiver of talent, to dish me out another insult. Your opinion of me matters not one iota, and your disrespectful manner pitched my way has surely met its quota. Alas, I shall play nice, but that which has been revealed to me unwavering and concise. That was my, yeah.
I have a bad habit of becoming emotional when I'm sharing my poetry because it's an emotional release for me, and I will apologize to you in advance for using you as my sharing circle. I have 3 poems, and the last one I wrote about 15 minutes ago because I've been avoiding, it's been in my mind, so I'm letting it out, and I need a couple poems ahead of it to warm myself up. So, poem number 1. Eve was beautiful naked. Why did she cover up when she felt shame? Is shame the lowest vibration of emotion, and yet God allowed it? He set her free without pity, without elements, or within the elements of exposure, abrasion on her virgin skin. No pleasure or pain in the childlike curiosity, no protection from vermin or poison or knowledge. And Eve would not stay there. Not when she still had a choice. And where did her freedom take her? It took her to death. It took her to a ruined body. It took her to a prison of oppression. She was more than Adam's rib. She was his mother. She was milk for his progeny. She was his resentment for leaving the womb of God. She pushed him out with the very first pains of delivery. I wonder where she took her journey when they got divorced, when she had enough feeding and nursing and satisfying the first child, and was ready to be curious again. Poem number 2. The mountain makes me feel safe as long as I keep my distance. She is my temple that never turns away. I can always approach her as long as I stay out of her reach. Just to see her dreaming, to find comfort in her sleep, her massive weight stable, immovable. I don't need to taste her dangers or travel her skin or trespass her heights. Just observe her power, breathe her, whole and built and powerful and dangerous, because she chooses to hold still for now.
Okay, so I decided to read the second poem I wrote for my dog because I'm leaving. This will probably be the last time I'm here, so it's fitting for closure. The first one was called The Longest Walk, and this one is called The Shorter Half. You were in your own category when I found you tied up Okay, you were in your own category when I find you tied up outside the garage. You were a force to be reckoned with the first time we ran. I hung on for dear life while you ran faster than even you could stand. I always admired that, how you gave everything you had. We could outrun anything, if anything was allowed. Do you remember the time we were scolded by wolves? The way we ran as they growled from the woods? You thought it was the best thing that we could have done, your dastardly humor, as though you had put one over on. Do you remember the way we played tricks on those dogs? When they were halfway through the doors and you would nip at those brums? Or the way that you showed me the mayhem you could have caused, gesturing at their hind legs with the maw of your jaws? Solely for my benefit, for I was the only one to notice. But no one will believe me that my dog could tell jokes. Do you remember the time when you tore up the garden I was assigned to plant? Christine was so mad, but I always was amused at that. Maybe I encouraged your mayhem and vicarious revolt. When I had conflict, you were the one who spoke up. Not that it did much, but I always appreciated the thought. Maybe you were a wild one, but you spoke my heart. At a time when I was driven to, I didn't know quite what. Perhaps it was all that I wished for, against all odds. Your tenderness and tenacity might have kept me alive, or the fact that you needed me when no one else thought it was worth their time. Or even when they did, and no one could withstand you. But in spite of your energy, to me you were never that bad. In fact, it heartened and cheered me to think that at least you might understand. At least with you, I never had to dial it down, but maybe I would also be an anathema to you now. I've grown since you've known me, and I wish I could show you how, and maybe I needed a little trouble to find the trouble within myself. Thank you.
This poem is about the fact that people are having a hard time finding places to stay these days because of the rising rents, and people are having to live in inferior kind of dwellings that they've had to lower their expectations, and it's a big national problem, as we all know. And I'd written this poem, oddly enough, several years ago, actually 2008, but it's even more relevant today. Now, I should tell you that there's a couple of references here. One is to John Osborne's Look Back in Anger, the famous play that he wrote that broke with the tradition of the theatre, which had all of the props and the lighting and sounds and paraphernalia, and he brought it down to working class people who are having to struggle to make ends meet and live in inferior quality housing, and so he was the head of this movement called kitchen sink drama, and there was a sort of a follow-up of kitchen sink poetry. So this belongs to that genre. There's a reference to him. I mention that because you might not catch what I'm talking about. And the other is to Edith Piaf. For those who know of Edith Piaf, the famous French singer who had a very hard life before she became famous. So anyway, excuse me having to hold this near my eyes. Who's next on the rent hike list? Maxed out credit card crunch, trying to make ends meet on food bank hampers and government handouts. Hey, join the powerless population. Come, visit my hole-in-the-wall habitat, a postage stamp with 4 walls. Just the basics: fridge, countertop with hot plate, no toaster, no stove. Table for one with chair pushed up against the drapeless window, bedsheet for blind, box spring and dresser against the wall, pint-sized bathroom with peeling pink paint for decor. Today's menu, leftovers with days-old bread. Tomorrow, begging at the soup kitchen counter like Oliver Twist for more. Wardrobe, Sally Ann clothes, top-of-the-line retro. No John Osborne's kitchen sink scenario to romance this gnarled existence into. Look back in anger? You bet I do. And as for nostalgic notions about Edith Piaf's pad in post-war Paris, forget je ne regrette rien. You bet je le regrette. They'll kick me out the minute I can't find the rent. No sorrow, no soul, no second thoughts. Let the place go to some other sucker who can't afford it. Probably won't even pause to vacuum the rug. Thank you. This poem I wrote in preparation for the Peace Poetry Night, which didn't happen. So anyway, rather than see it go to waste, here's my poem. It's, of course, called Peace. Peace is a word. What matters is its meaning. Searching for peace won't find it. Peace doesn't lie just around the corner. No use hoping for peace. It won't spring up from the ground or rain down from heaven. The promise of peace in a speech or sermon is, again, just words. And peace in a treaty is not lasting peace. Treaties, like promises, can be broken. As for praying for peace, well, good luck with that. For the word peace is not peace itself, no matter how well meant. Peace is not found in words. Peace can only be found within a heart that is empty of intolerance and prejudice, which is discrimination and hate, or a heart that is empty of desire, which leads to competition, conflict, and ultimately war. Our hearts must be empty of jealousy and malice before peace can enter, and through our heart, our being. For we must be peace, for peace to be. Only when we are peace can we do peace, the meaning of which is love.
There is a infectious disease that ticks transmit. It's called Q fever. And then there is a person whose name starts with Q that gives me fever. So this poem is called Q Fever. To think that we hugged. Did I imagine that your hand lingered on my waist? My hands wanted to be all over you. Your neck, your face, your lips. It is convenient that you only believe in hoodies and track pants. Direct access, no meddling with buttons, zippers, no extra layers. Yes, your arms, shoulders, chest, pure muscle, hard rock. But I wanted to reach straight for that tummy, hanging ever so slightly over the edge of your pants. Yeah, you work out, but we've shared enough pints for me to know what gave rise to this tummy. I only ever see it when you raise your hands. 2 inches of soft, warm, hairy goodness that I want to caress, scratch, kiss, and bite. My tongue was screaming, I want that navel. But if I touched it, who knows what would have happened? The only way is down. Do I rip this mask off my face and reach out to kiss you? That hand of yours, still on my waist, is telling me you wouldn't pull away. Do I kiss you the deepest I have ever kissed anyone? I haven't had much practice lately, but I certainly have the will. And inhale, lick, and swallow all the COVID and strep and candida you have to share. You want something to sweep, Tonk? Well, here's your cavity. He may well still have tonsils, too. How far can you reach, Tonk? Further than I give you credit for, I know. I didn't do any of that. All I mustered the courage for was to caress the back of your neck. For as long as you were holding my waist, I dare not try to recall who let go first. You said something more, babbling, drunk. I did not listen. My hands clenched, my pelvis and everything in it on fire. My treacherous tongue, bitten hard, reined in. We hugged again, briefly, superficially. You were disappointed. I was already cursing myself with my inner voice for things I knew I was not going to do. I watched you walk away into your sanctuary. I drove back to mine. As soon as I turned the key, I already stopped trusting myself that this even happened. Life is sometimes evidence-based. The next morning, a text from you, and the still present tingling in my privates, and evidence good enough. And this one even shorter. It's called You're Back, about this person who is not Q fever person, but is coming back. You're back. You're back. You offer sexy times. Your efforts are in vain. Why would I squeeze your juicy glutes when I can caress a glass of champagne? Your invites, milk and honey. To me, they have zero clout. Why would I nibble on your earlobes when I can melt chocolate in my mouth? Your texts lure, all sweet, 2 a.m., leaving me angry, awake. Why would I suck on your magic cucumber when I can stuff my throat with cake? You need to stop. You just don't get it. I want to be nuisance-free. Why would I want to have sex with you when I can have sex with me? Thank you.
Hi. Well, let's just hop right into it, hey? Be still, my heart. You brought the razor too close again. You lie and cheat versus all of my friends. But you only do this when you beat. So beat still, my heart. You fawn and fancy over any pulse. You come up with all of your own insults. But you only do this when you beat. So beat still, my heart. Doesn't it warm the cockles of your heart, soothe your soul, make you feel like you're losing control? Oh, it gives me hope we're on the right path for the future. It makes me feel uncertain for sure. The future seems so big, bright, and beautiful, and so seem I. But it all seems like a beautiful lie. It's such a sunny day, I just have a funny way of enjoying it.
I have 2 poems for you tonight. One is on my phone, one is on my computer. The first poem is called People Support People. And when I first started writing it, I gave it the title Women Supporting Women. And as I wrote the first line, I realized, there's a lot of guys in my life who are supportive, kind, and loving. One of them is Aaron, our dear fellow poet who just moved up to Whitehorse last weekend. I hope you all remember him. He wanted to see me before he left, and we were both in tears. He gave me one of his handwritten poems, and he wanted me to read it here, but I don't want to break the rules, and I didn't. But I dedicate this poem to Aaron and my male friends who I love and appreciate, and of course, all the women. Some days you meet people and you wish you never met them. They only think of themselves and don't give a flying hoot about anyone else. And then you meet the friend who gives you just the right kind of love and support you need. The kind of friend who laughs with you even when they are not sure if they should laugh or cry. And they look at your face for cues, because depending on what you had for breakfast, you may laugh or cry. And when you laugh, you may laugh until you cry or pee your pants. Depending on age, time of the day, month, moon cycle, and other various known or unknown factors. Recognize and appreciate your friends for everything they are. Appreciate the friend who is the voice of wisdom when you feel like a child, the friend who is like a spirit sibling who jumps in the water with you from a cliff, and you both think of your visions and dreams and you descend into the water and share it with each other when you emerge after your hands join, and you both giggle after that joyful ascent to the top of the water. Let them know how much you love them as often as you can. Remind them of your appreciation for the things they do for you. Tell them how their kindness and support enriches your life. Ensure them that you will walk the road with them when they need a hand to hold on to and a shoulder to lean on. Be that friend to your friends. Be that friend to yourself.
Yes.
The other poem is called Connecting with Earth. I connect with Earth often in the warm months when I garden, walk by the water, swim, and do many outdoor activities. Being without shoes really connects me to Earth, and it feels like a sacred, deep connection. On the end of this summer, I went to the Lethbridge Peace Shrine by the Old Man River, and I met Michael, the young man who created it. Wow. What a marvelous place of amazing architecture and healing sanctuary using nature's gifts like rocks, sticks, bones, logs, and healing visions. This is where I connect with Earth so often now. I go there every time I need healing. And until the frost, I walked a spiral in bare feet and felt deeply connected to Earth, felt the healing power of the spiral and the power of love. Michael put a lot of his hard work and love into this marvelous creation. And the community put a lot of their love, anguish, and meaningful objects, from sobriety tokens to crystals, rocks, sage, and other healing herbs, incense, trinkets, and everything else you can imagine in a shrine or other healing place people go for their healing. I feel blessed to be able to experience and enjoy the solitude and peace it brings me at times, and the connectedness and the deep heart-to-heart conversations that happen there. Thank you.